no better time than right now, almost 4 in the morning, to bring attention to a horror film that was freaky as shit. It is a Taiwanese horror film. It was the highest grossing horror film period, not just horror, in Malaysia of last year, from a first time director, no less, which is a crazy ass thing to say. Like, good on him. That is amazing. His career is about to take the fuck off. But this doesn't feel like his first film. And it's probably due to the fact that he has 9 other editorial credits. He's worked on other movies as an editor, and I mean, if you understand how to edit a movie, you pretty much know how to shoot it, in a lot of ways. And one of the movies that I recognized from his filmography as an editor was Detention 2, which is a sequel to an adaptation of a video game horror series that I played on the Switch. And it's a side-scrolling, more like 2.5 scrolling horror game that takes place in a high school at night. Very much in that sort of Clock Tower, Sirens, Silent Hill, Fatal Frame niche. And it was fun and creepy to play on your Switch with the lights off in your bed with headphones, fully immersed. And so that's probably where his level of expertise comes from, because this film is extremely well shot and has some haunting images and utilization of shadows that some of the movies here in the US would be so jealous of, genuinely. What's interesting about this movie, Mudborn, is that it mixes 3 elements of horror together: technological horror, psychological horror, and folklore horror. And it does it all very well. So the story follows a video game programmer who is working on a VR experience involving a real life crime scene, where you actually walk through the crime scene and avoid the spirits of the victims who died in real life. Now, I know it sounds fucked up, but they have the blessing of the family, because the family hopes that in some way the interest behind the game will reignite the investigation and give them a little bit more closure as to what really happened. Now, the crime involved a wife, a husband, and a baby. And it was said that the wife went crazy and butchered her husband and her child. And that's all we know. There's no more follow through. The family's kind of left wondering, like, that's not her. She would never do that. There was something more. But it was shut down. People moved on. Now, the video game programmer's wife presently is pregnant with their first child. And they have a beautiful relationship. They're very much in love. They're very much like the ideal romance, sort of picture perfect relationship couple that are expecting. You know, he's goofy and she's kind of like the straight man, right? She's cracking at his jokes and acknowledging that he's kind of immature, but that's what she loves about him, because he works hard and takes care of him. And it's just very sweet relationship. And they do a good job establishing them together. Now, during the process of developing this game, excuse me, during the process of developing this game, he takes an item with him from the crime scene that they're using to mock into the game. And it's a clay doll. And this clay doll, obviously, is haunted out the ass. Or else they wouldn't be a film, right? Now, while I'm not going to tell you why that doll is haunted, it is very much tied to the crime that took place pre-film, and the revelation behind why this doll is haunted is so fucking shocking. Like, genuinely, rarely am I shocked. What they did to show you why this doll is cursed, the story behind it, and the actual visualization of how it got cursed is so fucked up that it's worth watching for that alone. Trust me. But for us to understand and get to the point where we have to know how it got this way, there has to be a lead up to it. And the lead up is that this entity that lives in this doll, this clay doll, is quite literally fucking with his wife. This thing, when he's at work, is making his wife's life a living hell. Starts out with simple things too. Simple fucking things, like she doesn't like to eat raw food now. She can't have sushi because she's expecting. All of a sudden, she starts eating raw food. And that's where we start. Where we build up from there is batshit crazy, and it does move akin to like a demonic possession movie. It very much is a demonic possession movie. But what sets this apart from other demonic possession films is that there is a folklore element to it that is very cultural, and to us, ignorant Americans, this is definitely something that you're not used to seeing if you're not someone who dabbles into Chinese horror, J horror, Indonesian horror, Taiwanese horror. I mean, those films are extremely cultural based in their themes of grief, pain, loss, and the afterlife. And you don't get a lot of horror films like that in the US. You really don't. And in a lot of ways, this is new and fresh. If you're not used to watching these kinds of films, I love watching J horror as a whole, and all different kinds of folklore based horror from different countries. So even still, this was such a different kick to what I'm used to with demonic possession movies, and they do such a great job escalating and keeping you surprised with what's next, because the way that she is possessed comes with some striking usage of shadows and lighting and things that at first would seem cliche, and then they do one little thing to just kind of spark up something that has been done before in such a way that it feels unique and it feels just different enough for you to go like, yeah, they're really putting in the effort to make something that is slightly comparable but very much its own. I mean, there are sort of visual kicks to things like Evil Dead. There are some kicks to The Exorcist, but none of it seems obvious. It's so folklore based and it's so steeped in culture, as most of these films are. But this one leans into the camera work and the shadow play and the audio cues. And there's some extreme moments in this film that really make you feel like you don't know how this is going to end. Towards the very beginning, you sort of, at least I had this interplay of like, someone's gonna have to die. There is this sense of danger the entire way through this film that really kept me fucking bugging the entire time. But that first hour is so perfect in terms of scares and build up and pacing, where you go from this super, brightly lit film to this slightly dimming and changing an aesthetic film that is making you feel like something evil is seeping off of the screen. They do some great stuff with a camera that kind of reminded me of Paranormal Activity 3, where, that camera scene in the kitchen where it's moving from left to right. He has a camera for her, motion sensor camera, and when he goes to work, he talks to her through it, and he just loves to see her. And they utilize the shit out of that camera for one of the scariest scenes in that movie, if not the scariest scene in that movie. Such a great utilization of point of view of the camera, the fact that it can detect things walking, and the way that they set up and choreograph that entire scene with that camera, that motion camera, was fucking excellent. I mean, I haven't seen one as effective as that one since Paranormal Activity 3 when they did it. That scene with the fan in the kitchen, which I think is very effective. They did such a great job with it. Overall, the first hour is incredibly strong. Like, it's where most of the horror hits, and you're like, well, how the fuck are they gonna sort of up the ante for the second and third act? The third act goes more into the folklore. We really start digging into talismans and the meaning of their belief system. And we lean into the supernatural a lot more. I'll say that. And while it doesn't feel out of place, because there is a buildup to that gets there, that gets you there and makes you feel like this is believable, this is credible, it definitely feels a little different from the first act, but it doesn't feel out of place. It feels like we had to get here from where we started, because we started in high gear. And I think for the most part, all of it is very believable. My biggest cons with it is that when we do get into the supernatural elements, there are moments of CGI that do not work at all. But this movie is so good that I could overlook that, especially because the scares are great. The camera work is awesome. And when they use the CGI, that is the only time that I could say there's a con in terms of presentation, because the movie looks beautiful. It's shot well. It's eerily done. There's something special about directors who can give you a frame and play with that frame, right? It's not just like I'm moving the camera. It's even if it's a static shot, like this entire thing is their canvas, you know, to be able to utilize that space to get the audience looking, I think is such a powerful move for a director and a cinematographer. That shows talent, that shows self-awareness, that shows strong writing as well, you know, even though it's visual, to be able to write a scene where you already know, like, we're going to put the camera here. This is the frame that I have to work with. I think where people might be divided is just the supernatural elements where they kick in, but they worked for me. And I'm, you know, when I watch movies like this or movies like Exuma, if you're familiar with that film, this is very much kind of like that. And that Exuma starts very subtle and then it builds into something supernatural as hell. And I'm accustomed to that gradual progression in movies like this, and this one did not deviate from that gradual progression into something more bombastic, but it serves the story and it is very emotional. I was very satisfied with the ending, and there is one scene in particular that, if you're familiar with the Suspiria remake, you know there's a standout sequence of body horror. There is an insane sequence here that I think, in a lot of ways, one ups that scene from Suspiria, and that's a big hype because that scene from Suspiria is kind of insane. There's, you know, yeah, there's body horror, and what's even more impressive is the technological horror when it comes into play closer to the third act. It felt so cleverly implemented because of what they were doing with the VR system in order to help them complete the story arc that I had not seen in any movie. I know that there's a movie by Neil Blanc. I know there's a movie by Neil Blomkamp that came out few years back called Demonic, which tried to do that and failed horribly. And he's a great director, but that movie was not it. And this is what that was trying to be, especially towards the third act. I mean, it's such a seamless blending of technology and folklore horror that I see why just that alone made it the highest grossing movie in Taiwan. It is very different kick, and I enjoyed it a lot. So if you're even mildly curious, go watch it. It's on Netflix now. I mean, this weekend you got two good horror movies on Netflix, Thrash and this. So let me know if you guys give it a shot. Let me know if you guys like it, if you hate it, if I'm wrong. And that's pretty much it. That's my review for tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in to another video. I appreciate you. And as always, I will see you guys at the movies.